All right, we'd like to call to order the regular city council meeting, May 18, 2022, 6:01 p.m. Madam, roll call.
Mayor Ronnie Felder, Chairperson Kashamba Miller Anderson,
Present.
Chair Pro Tem Shirley Lanier,
Here.
Councilperson Troderick McCoy, Councilperson Julia Botel,
Here.
Councilperson Douglas Lawson,
Here.
City Manager Jonathan Evans,
Present.
City Clerk Claudine Anthony is present, City Attorney Don Nguyen.
Here.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, we'll have a moment of silence followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Dr. Botel. Do we have any additions, deletions, or substitutions?
Yes, Madam Chair. The item referred to as 5B, we're going to reschedule that for the next regular meeting of the City Council.
You said 5B,
5B,
as in boy.
yes.
Okay. All right, anyone else? Disclosures by council? All right, we have a motion to adopt the agenda.
Motion to adopt the agenda. Second.
Madam Clerk?
Councilperson Botel,
Yes.
Councilperson Lawson,
Yes.
Pro Tem Lanier,
Yes.
Chair Miller Anderson.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Okay, for our consent agenda, we do not have anything on consent. So we'll move along to item number 5, awards and presentations, 5A.
Proclamation for International Internal Audit Awareness Month. Madam Chair, members of the board, we do have public comment on this item. The acceptance of public comment on this item is now closed. And in the absence of the mayor, I will be reading the proclamation.
All right.
Proclamation from the Office of the Mayor, City of Riviera Beach, Palm Beach County, Florida, declaring the month of May as International Internal Audit Awareness Month. Is our internal auditor here?
Yes.
Ms. Elena Georgie. Whereas internal auditing is a vital part of strengthening organizations and protecting stakeholders of both the public and private sectors, and whereas internal auditing helps identify and manage the organization's risks and ensure policies, procedures, and controls are in place and working appropriately, and whereas internal auditing is an increasingly sophisticated and complex activity requiring specialized knowledge, training, and education, and whereas internal auditing is an established profession led by the Institute of Internal Auditors with a globally recognized code of ethics and international standards for professional practice of internal auditing, and whereas the contribution of internal auditors to the success of organizations and the global economy at large deserves our recognition and commendations. Now, therefore, be it finally resolved that I, Ronnie L. Felder, Mayor of the City of Riviera Beach in Palm Beach County, by the power vested in me by the residents of Riviera Beach, do hereby proclaim the month of May as International Audit Awareness Month in Riviera Beach, and implore all citizens to join me in recognizing professional internal auditors for their contributions. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the official seal of the City of Riviera Beach to be affixed on this 18th day of May, 2022 AD. Ronnie L. Felder, Mayor, Claudine L. Anthony, City Clerk. Madam Chair, members of the board, we do have public comment on this item. Do you have any comments, Mrs. Georgie?
Yes, just a few words. So, good evening, Council.
Good evening.
I would like to thank you for recognizing the importance of the internal audit profession. And like I said, I would like to say a few words. Internal Audit Awareness Month should not celebrate us, the current members of the profession. It should celebrate the kids out there who represent our future. It is them that I wish to address tonight. You don't have to be a math whiz to study accounting. And there are certainly more than 2 career options if you have an accounting degree other than external audit and tax. So consider the internal audit profession, and you'll find yourself in good company of people who will support you throughout your journey. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. You have one public comment card, you said?
One public comment
All
card.
right. Thank you so much, Ms. Elena. We appreciate all that you're doing to keep us out of the OIG and newspaper.
Mary Bram.
Mary Brown, Riviera Beach. You know, it's nice to give honor where honor is due, and that goes to the city, the management, and especially Randy Sherman. Let me tell you all something here. You may not know really who Randy is, but that's not the elephant here. What this is about? Keeping our city sound and structured. This is what government is supposed to do in establishing the groundbreaking foundation of how we run our business day to day and what's at hand for us. When we say strengthening organization, that's just what it is. That's why we need accurate, delivering people. Randy would not go to jail for nobody. Nobody. That's Randy would not do that. He's a stickler. He's straight. He's been in the business for 40 years. He was way doing this before you ever thought about even running as elected officials. And he has always been accurate in what he does. And that is a plus for we as a city as well, along with the overseer, which is the manager, Mr. Jonathan Evans. Your city runs like that. It has to have these capable people in place to make sure that our assets are well balanced and guarded, and we adhere to the ethics rules that governs each one of our departments and bodies as a whole. So in recognition of this month, kudos goes to the city on your budget report, because the budget report came from the audit. What's in the audit department shows exactly how we are being navigated and where our funds, and where our liabilities, our assets, everything is lined it up. So I would say keep up the good work, Randy Sherman, Mr. Randy Sherman, and all others that plays a key role in keeping our city stable. You all know, perhaps you don't know, we've gotten A ratings, numerous of times. That is a plus here for this city here. They can say anything what they want about our city. But when it comes down to the detrimental things that government should be doing, we do those things there. And we get accolades on it. So I say thank you for the month of May.
Thank you so much. All right, item 5C.
A proclamation declaring June 8, 2022 as World Oceans Day. Madam Chair, members of the board, this proclamation will be read by Councilperson Botel.
Thank you.
No
And we do
public-
have public comment card on this item.
You said we do?
We do.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, Dr. Votel.
Thank you. Proclamation from the Office of the Mayor, City of Riviera Beach, Palm Beach County, Florida, declaring June 8, 2022 as World Oceans Day. Whereas World Oceans Day reminds us of the very beginnings of life and the many benefits and services the oceans have been providing to all people in all places around the globe. And whereas World Oceans Day was originally proposed at the 1992 Earth Summit in Rio de Janeiro, and June 8th was officially declared World Oceans Day by the United Nations in 2008. And whereas this celebration has grown from a ripple into a tidal wave with a myriad of activities around the world aimed at increasing awareness about how oceans work and how their health is related to our own well-being, and whereas the city of Riviera Beach, like so many coastal communities and towns, owes its cultural heritage and sense of place to the ocean and its natural jewels. And whereas the Intercoastal Waterway and the Atlantic Ocean meet at the Palm Beach Inlet, representing a self-sustaining, biodiverse habitat supporting marine life from tiny phytoplankton producing the oxygen we breathe to amazing dolphins that serve as flagship species for the entire 7 seas. And whereas world-class ocean explorers, researchers, and their organizations have chosen Riviera Beach and adjacent communities as their home and headquarters, continuing the work of previous generations while advancing and contributing to the protection of our marine world and the sustainable development of our city of Riviera Beach, including the Terrace Oceanographic Foundation and its Dolphin Conservation Research, Sea Turtle Conservation League of Singer Island, Palm Beach and Jupiter Dolphin Tours, the Manatee Lagoon, the Reef Institute, and the Angara Foundation, just to name a few. Now, therefore, be it finally resolved that I, Ronnie L. Felder, Mayor of the City of Riviera Beach in Palm Beach County, by the power vested in me by the residents of Riviera Beach, do hereby proclaim that June 8, 2022, shall be known as World Oceans Day in the City of Riviera Beach, and be recognized and celebrated as a means to foster support for those who have dedicated their lives to ocean research and conservation, and advance awareness and appreciation of our oceans, their sustainable resource use, and stewardship for our common future. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the official seal of the City of Riviera Beach to be affixed on this, the 18th day of May, 2022, A.D., Ronnie L. Felder, Mayor, Claudine L. Anthony, City Clerk. And I would like to ask Dr. Stefan Harsand to come to the microphone and speak a little bit about World Oceans Day and how we plan to celebrate it here in Riviera Beach. Dr. Harsand.
Good evening, and thank you very much for taking the time to read out loud the proclamation to celebrate World Oceans Day. I suppose it's the first time you're doing this, and I hope you not just listen to the proclamation, but embrace the idea of celebrating the very asset that constitutes the base for the city of Riviera Beach, like it does for many other coastal cities. And without the ocean, there wouldn't be any beach for the kids and the adults to play on. Without the ocean, there wouldn't be any food on our tables because the ocean nourishes our bodies. Without ocean, there would obviously no fish. The ocean also nourishes our spirits and minds. Why do people go and sit on the beach and watch the sun go up or the sun go down with a person they like most of the time and enjoy the experience? It has no material value. It has a spiritual value. So I hope that you as leaders of the city of Riviera Beach embrace the ocean as one of the most fundamental jewels that are at your disposal, and don't use the beach to stick your head in the sand, but actually use it to remind you that the ocean reflects the up and downs of life through the tidal cycle, and that there are great opportunities that come for the city of Riviera Beach, with the ocean being at your front door, both economically but also in terms of community. And in addition to the declaration itself, I should point out that we have put together a program to celebrate World Ocean Day, and I would hope that everybody who is in the room today will come out on June 8th when we're going to launch an art exhibit that is dedicated to ocean right here in this building. And then on June 17th, we do a second event to celebrate World Ocean Day with a live music performance in this room, all to celebrate the ocean. And thanks to a lot of support, we were able to gather the concert is for free. So everybody can come, and you have to register, and we make sure all the information is out there. And I should mention that some of your staff have been very helpful working on this event. We are very grateful that they put in the time and the efforts. And now I'm asking you and encouraging you to make sure that all the staff shows up, that you all come, and spend some time, meet some of the scientists who study the ocean and share the knowledge with the community, and that we can find additional ways to make sure the community benefits from all the ocean jewels and from all the work we do as scientists studying the ocean. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Heisen. I would also say that on June 7th is actually, June 8th is World Oceans Day, but we're having our VIP reception for the art exhibit here in the Hatcher Ballroom on June 7th, and you're all obviously invited to attend, so I hope you can make it. And then the concert, as Dr. Heisen said, on the 17th. Thank you.
Thank you. Public comment?
Mary Brown.
Now, you know, Ms. Brown said, we breathe the fresh air that comes from the ocean.
Pull your microphone down.
It makes, can you hear me?
Pull the microphone down, yeah, so they can hear you on
You all know Ms. Brown. She loved the ocean. She loves the things that are in the ocean. They were put there for a reason, so that we can breathe them and they can live as we live too. And on Ocean Day, that's part of our environment. And we need to take care of our environment. It is we as the future, as well as proceeding into the other centuries that we all hope to live in. So that ocean, I've always said, do not disturb it. Do not try to dredge it, dig it up where it shouldn't be dug up. Leave the habitats there, because that's their environment. And we always have enough that we can do on land without disturbing those beautiful waterways out there, not just here, but all over. See, I go all over. I go down to the Keys. Last week or so, I was down in Miami, Fort Lauderdale. Week before that, I was down in the Keys and stuff. And some friends and associates, they take me out on the boat. My daughter, my son-in-law, the kids, we go boating and they go swimming, you know, just to kind of breathe. That's what the ocean and our fresh air is all about. And then when I see the animals and the fish and stuff in the water, you know, I'm just like a little kid myself. I'm intrigued by it because I see that a life that exists there is exactly where it's supposed to be. So I'm looking forward to this, and I hope you put it on the docket and filled it out so that everyone that desires to come can be partakers in this, because this is who we are. Our ocean makes us. Whether you believe it or not, it makes who we are. And we would not exist without it, not exist without any bodies of water. So I say kudos for this. I'm glad that it is being formatted here. And I, as a resident, along with others, look forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, item number 10, regular agenda.
Resolution number 019-22, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Riviera Beach, Palm Beach County, Florida, amending the job classification list by creating, reclassifying, adding, or deleting certain classified and unclassified positions pursuant to the 2021-2022 fiscal budget, providing for an implementation and providing for an effective date. Madam Chair, members of the board, we do have public comment on this item. The acceptance of public comment on this item is now closed.
Motion to approve resolution number 19-22.
Second.
All right, Mr. Evans?
Madam Chair, members of the board, if I can have the Director of Human Resources, Dr. Barbara Aricio, make this presentation.
All right, Dr. Aricio?
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Madam Chair, and members of the board. I have a memo today for you to approve the request for reclassifying some of our job classification listing. The Human Resources Department works with staff to evaluate the changing needs of our departments, and this memo outlines those modifications. The memo identifies the departments and the positions for your approval.
All right, that's the end of your presentation? That's the end of your presentation.
I can't.
It's the end of your
Is that the end of your presentation? Okay,
Yes.
I'll go to the public
have
comment
any
card,
questions?
and then I'll come back to you, to the board.
Mary Bram, Doretta Polk.
Mary Bram, Riviera Beach. I'm gonna give you all a hand clap here, because this is long overdue. And when I see a summary here, just a little bit of the highlights here, you have employees that are dedicated to this city here. You never hear anything out of them. You would not even know that they exist. If I run my company, I would want these type of employees. Why? Because their main focus is they realize that their job is important. So they're going to come to work, and they're not going to give you 99%. They would give you 100% of their labor and their quality. And I've said it before in here numerous of times when we were over on the other side, and I'm still saying it today. We have to get it together with our employees that are faithful to this organization, faithful to serve our community, do whatever that's needed to be done, and does not even complain. They are not fault finders, because some of our employees are fault finders. Everything they find is a fault in. You know right then that's not a working system. But with some of these classifications and where some of these people here needs to be paid, and we as a general public want these people paid. And Ms. Bram says she don't care how you do it, because they have served faithfully here. They don't come to you. They like Ms. Bram. She don't stand up and beg you. She narrates you to do good. And when you do good, that is the reward that reflects on the city as a whole, to have employees coming to work. And they're not slackers. These employees come to work, rain or shine. My company, I want those workers for me. That's who the city should have. And that's who the city should look at. Some of these the employees that's in these departments, you wouldn't even know that they are there until you go to them and ask them to do something. And they don't even murmur or grumble. They get the job done above and beyond. And the reclassifications and deletions, some of that should be deleted. We talked about this for years, cleaning up this here and looking amongst ourselves to do the right thing. So please, go head on and deliver this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Doretta Polk.
Good evening.
Good
My name is
evening.
Doretta Polk, and I see about you have a classification of these job listing, and I just want to point out some people, if I can do that, starting off with Mrs. Grimsley and the youth empowerment. I had a conversation with Mrs. Gwen Oaks, and her son was a part of the youth empowerment. Now, he is going to be one of the firefighters, going to firefighters at Palm Beach State. This is a wonderful thing. She's doing wonderful and moving these young people in the right direction. And I think she should be on this list here. You do have youth empowerment. And I also will thank Mr. Walter Stevens. This young man makes sure even the people who can't come out, they are aware of what's going on. And he's definitely right on point with making sure that everyone has access if they have AT&T or if they have Comcast. He makes sure if there's a problem, he's right on it. And we all are able to listen. I want to thank also Ms. Deirdre Jacobs, if you're going to consider her, and Mr. Snowy. They are wonderful, outstanding people in the community. If I have a problem, I can call her, and I call Mr. Johnson because he's new, and he has been wonderful also. And not to forget about Mr. Jonathan Evans. When his time comes and you all do his evaluation, he shouldn't get nothing less than 100%. He's doing a marvelous job. And all of you all are. All of you all are. And I thank you very much.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the board, that concludes public comment.
Do we have any comments from the board?
No.
All right. Madam Clerk?
Councilperson Lawson,
Yes.
Councilperson Botel,
Yes.
Pro Tem Lanier,
Yes.
Chair Miller Anderson.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Item 10B.
Resolution number 047-22, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Riviera Beach, Palm Beach County, Florida, approving the interlocal agreement as part of Palm Beach County's Master Service Agreement to provide comprehensive radio repair services to the city for a term of 5 years and may be renewed for 2 additional 5 years each, including service for the city's radio console, authorizing the mayor and city clerk to sign said agreement, authorizing annual payments totaling $180,747.35 for said agreement, and providing an effective date. Madam Chair, members of the board, we do have public comment on this item. The acceptance of public comment on this item is now closed.
Motion to approve resolution number 47-22.
Second.
All right, Ms. Evans?
Madam Chair, members of the board, if I could have Major Stephen Thomas make this presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. Madam Chair, Council, Stephen Thomas, Police Major.
Good evening.
The item brought before you this evening is a interlocal agreement with Palm Beach County to provide and maintain service for 185 police radios, as well as the dispatch consoles. This is a 5-year agreement. It gives the opportunity for 2 additional 5-year agreement renewals. This gives us the opportunity to take advantage of better pricing due to the large number of radios and consoles throughout the county. The police department recommends approval, and if you have any questions, I'm available to answer.
All right, so we'll come back to the board after we do our public comment.
Mary Brown.
I guess I have you as the board tonight all to myself.
Yes, lucky you.
So we're going to move right along here.
Yeah, move us along.
We're going to move right along here. Okay. Mission critical. This is just what this is. Mission critical. And the 5 years extension, we know that as a city that these things are detrimental in the operation of what we do. And especially with our police department, which I want to say kudos to. You all are doing a great job. I see more of you all out on the streets now. So, that's making me feel very good. So, but the police department and with the repairs and everything, well, all of this falls under all of that maintenance level, with our interlocal agreement. Okay, I know. The question was, would this fall under everything? It would take care of everything to make sure that our equipment is properly sounded and it is effective and is doing the job constantly that it is supposed to do. So those were my comments. So this is a roundabout, a maintenance service, as well as if anything breaks down, we still would, all of it is covered into this agreement. Am I correct? Everybody shaking their heads here, so. Okay, yes, ma'am. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And you left us with 1 minute and 25 seconds. Look at there. All right, any questions or comments? Madam Clerk?
Councilperson Botel?
Yes.
Councilperson Lawson?
Yes.
Pro Tem Lanier?
Yes.
Chair Miller Anderson?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Item 10C,
Resolution number 064-22, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Riviera Beach, Palm Beach County, Florida, to approve payment for Blueprints for Safety Solutions Group, also known as BS4 LLC, to provide law enforcement expert consulting to investigate a specific incident and provide overall administrative review of the incident, to include possible policy failures, oversight failures, and training gaps, and providing for an effective date. Madam Chair, members of the board, we do have public comment on this item. The acceptance of public comment on this item is now closed.
Motion to approve resolution number 64-22.
Second.
all right. Mr. Evans?
Madam Chair, members of the board, this item is to seek City Council authorization to pay the outstanding invoice of $56,300 as a result of a third-party independent investigation that was conducted at the end of fiscal year 2021. This particular item exceeded the city manager's purchasing authority, but the work has been provided and the inquiry investigation has been closed. At this time, staff recommends approval of the final invoice of $56,300, and staff can answer any questions the board may have.
All right. Public comment?
Mary Graham?
Mayor Graham, Riviera Beach, you know, it is a saying that says, 2 eyes we have. Our outer eye is what we see on this paper, but our inner eye also dictates a little bit more. This is why it is always good to have that inner eye. So that just what this says here, the failures, the oversights that we as human beings cannot see or catch. This is why in government that we do these things here, because it is a necessity to bring that clarity and to straighten out any and everything that is wrong, because a lot of times we do get it wrong because we're human. So when we go back, when we get that outer eye, that inner eye, so that it can pull out, dissect, do the things that we need to do to put it in place. And I'm hoping that this is not the last time that we utilize these services here. Because like I say, we are humans, and we are subject for faults and failures. But that does not mean that we continuously to exist in the state that we are in. So when we have these things, they are good. And once we utilize them, they are a payable service. They are paid out. We receive the goods. And hopefully that we can continuously, when things fall in the gap, when it's oversights and failures, that we will always not just rely on ourselves, but rely on that inner eye to catch me when I fall. And that's the way that I look at you all as elected officials and management. Catch me when I fall. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thane Lozman?
Thane Lozman.
Good evening.
Couple questions. What was the specific incident? Was this the Lawson incident? What was the specific incident that you want a final invoice of $56,000? And what was the initial invoice? What is the total bill that we're paying these people, Mr. Evans? As the steward of what goes on here, what is the total bill and what's the incident? As a taxpayer, I want to know what it is. I think it involves the Lawson incident, which was supposed to be $25,000. It looks like it may be $25,000 plus another $56,000, $81,000. We hire a city manager for a reason, that he has oversight over the police department. If there was an incident involving the police department, he could have conducted his own investigation. He didn't have to go squander $80-some-odd thousand. Oh, excuse me. He recommended. He didn't squander it. Botel did, and Lanier did, and Kashama Miller Anderson. You squandered $80,000 investigating one of your fellow colleagues. $80,000? That's a lot of money. That's basically playing politics with the taxpayers' money. You're not good stewards of the taxpayers' money. That's malfeasance what you did. What you could have said as city manager, you can do the investigation. We have an internal affairs department, the police department. They look into misconduct at the police department. You could have gone to a neighboring department that we have an interlocal agreement for and had them do that. But no! The three of you wanted to try to make political hay against one of your fellow colleagues. That is gross. That is disgusting. That's an abuse of your authority to do something like that. I think Lanier was the one who pushed that through when she was the chair. Now I understand why you're sitting over there in the cheap seats, Lanier. I have a problem with it. I've talked to people around the community. They have a problem with it. This is something that should have been handled in-house. That 80, well, you're going to give us the total number, Mr. Evans. I want to know how much did you approve before the $56,000. As a taxpayer, I want the total number, and I want what the specific incident was put. That should have been in the backup. Okay? I want those two numbers. When I sit down, those are questions I have, and I want to know who the incident was and what was the total bill to this company. And for the residents in this community, these are the kind of games that are being squandered with your tax dollars. $80-some-odd thousand to make political hay over an incident when we have a reputable internal affairs department that could have investigated that. That's gross. That's an abuse of the process. It's malfeasance. And if we could get some people in the community on the west side to examine all the malfeasance you have engaged in, we should throw all three of you off that dais.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the board, that concludes public comment.
All right, questions or comments from the board?
I'd like to ask a question in regards to the authors of the report. Are they here this evening?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Could they come up and just kind of give us an overview of this report and what it means and what it says and that kind of thing?
Good afternoon, members of the board. Thank you very much for having us here. My name is Frank Fernandez. I'm representative of Blueprints for Safety. I'm joined with Mr. Andy Rowan. He's an associate with Blueprints for Safety as well. This was an investigation that was requested by the city attorney and city manager. It involved the police chief and the incident involving a council member, a domestic violence incident. We were hired to conduct the investigation to ensure the integrity of the internal affairs investigation because it did involve some allegations against the chief of police. As it mentioned in the readout, we also looked at the policies and procedures to make sure that there was clarity in the policies, consistent with best practices. That's what we applied. We also provided the city with a full report, which is public record, on all the investigation. We did shadow the internal affairs investigator throughout the entire investigation. You have a fantastic internal affairs captain. She did a great job. We documented that as well. And we really made sure that the integrity of the investigation was consistent with all others and best practice in the field. Any questions for me, ma'am? Sir.
Is that it?
No, I had some other questions about the report. This report that was presented to you was also in conjunction with the internal affairs report as well.
Correct. So the internal affairs, they conducted their own independent, their own internal affairs investigation. We paralleled that. We conducted an independent investigation on policies and procedures and whether or not there were any policy violations by the chief of police.
So with this 131 pages, I think this report is, what recommendations did you have in this report? Is there something that the city is supposed to do at this point?
The recommendations of the report are listed. There are various, there's a list of them in the public record, and they're recommended based on policies, areas to consider. The city attorney and city manager will brief on this investigation and those recommendations. Additionally, we looked at policies to make sure that we're consistent, internal affairs in particular. And I can tell you that all your IA policies are consistent with best practices in the field of investigations.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear what this report is because people seem to not know what this report is about. This report is about the former chief of police on arresting our sitting council member, Douglas Lawson. This is a 136-page report, which is another 121-page internal investigation report on this incident. I would suggest that the members of the public, since we are spending this kind of money, that they know exactly what is happening in this report and exactly what's going to happen after this. Because we didn't spend money just to be spending money. We wanted to know what happened, what policies were violated, and what needs to happen next going forward so this doesn't happen again. So I encourage the members of the public to read this report. And also, if you need any information about trying to decipher it or more information, you can also call the city manager's office. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you, ma'am.
Any other questions or comments?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Go ahead.
If I could get some, Mr. Evans, thank you. I appreciate you wanting to get clarity and full transparency for our residents. So I wanted to just start there and thank you for finding the firm to come in. I did have a few questions actually for the firm, if they could come back up for me.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. When you guys were secured, who was the subject to the investigation?
I'm sorry, I was looking over. One more time, I'm sorry.
Who was the subject of the investigation?
The subject of our investigation or the internal affairs from the police
Your
department?
investigation.
Our investigation, it was to look at the actions of the chief of police.
Okay. And what was the total amount paid for this investigation?
Let me,
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I have it readily available.
Say that again?
I have that number readily
Oh,
available.
go ahead.
$83,360.
83,000, I'm sorry?
$360.
Okay. And when you were originally secured for this investigation, what was the estimated or quoted amount?
the first fiscal year was 25,000. That led into the next fiscal year, which was an open contract that we had to continue with the investigation.
Okay. So that left an open contract once this was secured to move forward at what cap, at what limit?
So I don't know about any cap. I don't have an answer for that. What I can say is that I was in constant communication with the city throughout the investigation, and the invoices as well represent what we were billing for.
So, okay, this investigation was requested in September, and that was for the last fiscal year? So this was billed out of fiscal year 2021?
It's my understanding that it was the first fiscal year, the first half of the first part of the invoices. And then the subsequent fiscal year, we submitted additional invoices.
Okay. Mr. Evans, the expected cost of this investigation was going to be under the manager's limit. That's why you decided to proceed with this firm. But when it did exceed, I noticed that we didn't actually bring it before the council. Can you give us some update as to why?
Madam Chair, if I may.
Go ahead.
As part of any internal investigation, especially relating to personnel, a lot of that information is to remain confidential. As well as part of the investigation, I was a party or an individual that was asked to provide testimony as part of the investigation. So as we went through the process, there were certain things that I was not aware of throughout the duration of the process until the process was at the point where it was towards the end. I know that originally the scope of the investigation did not incorporate that there would be roughly about 21 persons that would be requested to be interviewed, and I think the number came down to 16. Additionally, there was significant delays as it relates to getting the officers available for the purposes of providing the testimony, and we are governed under the Police Officer Bill of Rights, which prescribes exactly how an investigation and an inquiry is supposed to occur. And I believe that we finished the investigation. I think you have 180 days to finish the investigation. I think the investigation was finished at 177 or 176 days as it relates to that. So any delays as it relates to the investigation could have delayed our ability to act as an agency should we have chosen to act. So there was situations where I was not provided the invoices with regards to the costs associated with, and the investigation was an ongoing process. Certainly, we wanted to complete that, and we wanted to have a third-party entity do that. Plus, there is a policy that prohibits the investigation, especially if the chief is named in the investigation or involved in the investigation, that he cannot be investigated by the internal affairs operation because it reports directly to him. So there's a lot of other nuances associated with this investigation and how the process went.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. And I guess that is my concern, because at any time we could have requested or brought this back to the council if we would have monitored the expenditures of this firm, because essentially they could have interviewed as many people as they wanted and just kept going up with the bill to get to the bottom and to provide full transparency for our residents, which is what they wanted. When is the last time that we had a contracts administrator within our business administration?
Madam Chair, if I may.
Go ahead.
We have had a contract administrator position for well over probably about 5 years. The position has been vacant for well over 3 years, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. I think that's one of the initiatives that we should probably look to fill with policies, because in my actual agenda review, there was no recommendations from our police chief or staff based upon this 132-page report. So to expend this money with no policy implemented is concerning to me, in addition to the fact that this was not brought before the council prior to us going this high as an expenditure. When we originally did it, I know that you secured this because this was not the consent or the consensus of the board. This was the request of one councilwoman. So this was a decision that Mr. Evans, your office made, but once it did begin to exceed that limit of $25,000, I believe this should have come to the board before we went up to this number of $83,000. So possibly looking for some policy, making sure that we implement a contracts administrator or look to fill that position as quickly as possible, because I think it was written out of the budget previously. So I think that we need to either add it back in the budget or just make sure we look to fill that position so that we don't run into this hurdle again, because if you're in a position where you cannot monitor the expenditures, then we don't want to be in this position moving forward.
All right. Any other questions or comments from the board?
Yeah, I just have one more statement to make in regards to why this report was actually done. There's a piece in this, 131-page report that basically says officers responded to Councilman Lawson's residence, wherein statements were obtained from him and his fiancée. Councilman Lawson acknowledged he and his fiancée were separated and individually questioned. At the conclusion of the on-scene investigation, it was determined that there was sufficient probable cause to place Councilman Lawson under arrest for simple battery. That was the reason why an independent investigation was called for this. It was a serious, serious matter. The Riviera Beach Police Department, Riviera Beach in general, do not take domestic violence at face value. We know how it goes. We know that this is a problem, and we know that we have to be, we have to play offense, defense, and everything else in between to make sure that women in our community are protected. And that is the reason why this investigation, this 131-page report ensued, was because of that. So we have to be clear about the reason why this report was done, why it was done, and making sure that the recommendations moving forward so that this does not happen again.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Mr. Evans, what is the reason this report was done?
Madam Chair, if I can defer to the folks that actually conducted the investigation, because they have the specific scope and what they looked at as part of the investigation.
All right. Go ahead.
So the purpose of the investigation is twofold. One is to ensure the transparency and clarity of the investigation, to ensure the integrity of the investigation in terms of the internal affairs that's being done. Given that the chief of police was involved in this incident, the city found it necessary to make sure we had an outside look into this, to make sure that we parallel exactly what the captain was doing in internal affairs. We paralleled her. We were with her the entire time. There were no interviews done unless we were there. All questions were asked through the captain from the Riviera Beach Police Department. Additionally, we took great notes. We did ask questions through the captain about the specific actions taken by the chief of police at that particular incident, so that we could then develop our own investigative outcome about the incident.
And Mr. Evans, based on that explanation, I just want to be clear. So this firm was hired for what reason then, in your perspective?
Madam Chair, if I may.
Go ahead.
The intent of the third-party investigation was to look at the items that were surrounding the incident that occurred, and to look at how we operated as a law enforcement agency, and also how executive staff operated as part of this particular process, to see if there's any consistencies or inconsistencies with regards to policies, practice, or state statute. So looking at it from a multiple perspectives, to making sure that the community found out as to why this occurred, and also what are things that we did or did not do as part of the process and our policies and state statutes.
And number two, Mr. Evans, what's going to...
Point of order, Madam Chair. This investigation has resulted...
Madam Chair, I'm sorry.
Hold on.
I'm not sure how she just jumps
calling
into
point
this
of order,
conversation.
Madam Chair.
Hold on 1 minute. She called the point of order, but I'll come back to you.
I'm calling point of order because this incident, this 131-page report, is a result of Mr. Lawson's conduct. So that's a conflict of interest.
Well, the attorney can speak as to whether that is the case or not. And being that she didn't say anything, I would imagine it is not. He's able to talk on it. So he can, Ms. Nguyen, is there a conflict?
There is no voting conflict under the law. This item, Mr. Lawson was not the focus of the investigation, and this item does not inure to his private or special gain or that of a family member or a business associate.
Okay.
So under the voting conflicts law, there is no conflict.
All right, Mr. Lawson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And to that point, to continue my question, Mr. Evans, in the future, what's going to stop us from going over this $25,000 spending limit capacity that we have from the manager's office?
Go ahead.
Madam Chair, if I may, obviously this will be something that would be managed more closely in administration, working with our procurement department and our new procurement director that is slated to start next month, to look in all our contracts to make sure that they are in compliance and they do not exceed the numbers with regards to professional services agreements.
All right.
Follow up, Madam Chair.
Go ahead.
Finally, last two statements. Last thing, I appreciate all the residents and the consistency that our community has had. The electorate spoke in this last election, and I want us to be able to move forward as a community based upon this report, based upon the no policies that have been brought to this council. And in closing, I just want to make sure that everyone understands that I stand by Chief Nathan Osgood in regards to his decision that he made. Number two, I would like to be recognized for a motion after we vote on this item to acknowledge and to discuss this council all being drug tested on a regular basis, because it seems like some of us are not paying attention to the concerns and the issues of what's being brought to the city and directly conflicting with what our city attorney, our consultants, and our city manager has brought. So obviously there's some discretion that needs to be held, and we need to hold each other accountable. So if I'm going to demand that my employees are drug tested, I'm going to demand that this council is also drug tested as well, because obviously there's some concerns.
All right. So with the, let's hold the applause, please.
Madam Chair.
So we're not going to, we don't want to continue to belabor this. I think that everyone has made their comments in terms of where they stand with the item. If there's something additional that we want to mention for the good of the order for this item, then we can do that. But if not, I think everyone has made their points of where we are in terms of whether to vote for or against the payment of the blueprint. They have obviously already done the work. By law, we are required to pay them. I do believe that because of the sensitivity and the people involved, I can understand trying to make sure that we get this taken care of, and the fact that we were under the 180 days to get this done. So I have no issues with moving forward and paying this. I think it was something that was needed because we had to ensure the public that we were operating with integrity. And so if there are no other additional comments regarding the item and paying of it, I would like for us to go ahead and move forward with taking the vote.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to ask, could I get a written legal opinion in regards to the conflict?
Okay. Madam Clerk?
Councilperson Hotel?
Yes.
Councilperson Lawson?
No.
Pro Tem Lanier?
Yes.
Chair Miller Anderson?
Yes.
Motion is approved with Councilperson Lawson dissenting.
All right. Item 10D.
Madam Chair, can I be recognized for a motion?
A motion.
Motion to require that all of this council be.
Can we do that during your time when we're?
We can do it anytime, Madam Chair.
When we get to the end. 10D.
Resolution number 067-22, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Riviera Beach, Palm Beach County, Florida, authorizing the city manager to submit a grant application for $811,350 for a Phase 2 managed mooring field construction project in the waters surrounding the City of Riviera Beach under the Florida Inland Navigation District Waterways Assistance Program, authorizing acceptance of the award, authorizing the finance director to establish a budget, stipulating certain facts and conditions, approving J.H. Sprague Consulting, LLC, as agent for the city, and providing an effective date. Madam Chair, members of the board, we do have public comment on this item. The acceptance of public comment on this item is now closed.
Motion to approve resolution number 67-22.
Second.
All right. Mr. Evans.
Madam Chair and members of the board, if I can have Mr. John Sprague make this presentation.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the council, and our esteemed staff. I don't know whether you remember or not, but we've been working on this mooring field project for about 1.5 years now since its concept. What this is to do is, first of all, environmentally, the vessels that anchor go around in a circle depending upon the wind and the tide. When it does that, the anchor chain makes a circle, and it wiped out all of our resources on the bottom. And those resources feed our fish and all kinds of habitat involved in clean water within our city. We're so lucky that we're on top of the inlet, and the clean water comes in. If you come down to City Marina almost on any day on an incoming or a high tide, you can see bottom, you can see fish on the bottom. It's almost like walking around an aquarium. So it's kind of important that we try and keep it that way. Secondly is, vessels, when they're left at anchor, have a tendency to fall into repair. And when they do, they break loose. And when they break loose, they're going to wind up in one of our residents' front yards who live on the water, or one of our marine businesses, or the city marina, and do damage to other docks and boats, etc. They wind up sinking usually, and then we wind up having to take them from the bottom, and often at city expense, because you can't figure out who owns it, or the process is just, or they don't have any money. So the mooring field is being designed to house in 2 areas, 156 boats total, 100 in the south one, which is south of the turning basin, and between the Palm Beach Channel and the ICW Channel. And the second one is along the mainland of cities down downtown from Blue Heron Bridge, just south of that marina, down to the city marina. So we also got from Find a grant for $75,000 originally to help us with the process, the permitting, the design, bathymetric studies, and all things required, and those have been done. That is the south mooring field. Notice there's no boats in there because we're still working on that because there are some easements and titles on that bottom land, and we just got that information from the state of Florida. And so we're working now to plot all that along with all the individual moorings that are going to go in there. That's the second, which is the central mooring field. And if you look along the mainland, hopefully you can see it, there's certain patches in white squares. The yellow is the Atlantic Intercoastal Waterway Channel. Then there's a break, and that's the right-of-way. And then the moorings are being arranged so they're in between the individual channels of the various marinas and you know, our boat ramp that's downtown, Martin Marietta or Lockheed Martin, all of our facilities. So when this is built, there will be no anchoring at all between the channel and the mainland. So hope we will restrict or stop all the damage that has occurred. And I believe we've taken 7 boats out of the city marina in the last 7 or 8 months that the city wound up paying. Fine did help us some with that, but it's a continuous problem. Some people don't know what a mooring is. So there's 2 ways, there's actually 3. You have docks that you tie a boat up to. You can put an anchor in line, which all of us, if you're going out to lunch or going diving, and you anchor the boat out. And third is a mooring. This is affixed in with a helix in the bottom, and that's a similar that they actually mount high-rises on. They're all based on screwing them in and reading the pressures that it takes to pull it out of the bottom in various diameters. Extremely strong. It's got elastic, so when it's in the water operating, there's nothing that touches the resource on the bottom. And you can also have a much tighter circles with this, and all of that is elastic in nature. Then you have a buoy up top that will give you a number. It's registered with the state of Florida, and you're going to be able to reserve and empty one online, pay for it, and tie it in that you're coming into a particular buoy, and every buoy is designed for a maximum size and a maximum depth. And that way you can ensure there's no bottom damage. There's another drawing of it. That shows one where the boat comes up, it goes down the bottom. It just depends upon the length. And that's the good part about it. That shows you, that's the shaft coming out of the bottom. And if you'll notice, seagrass grows right up around it. There's no destruction to it whatsoever. And that's a very crucial point. That's all I got, unless you have any questions.
All right, we'll go to public comment, and then we'll come back to the board.
Mary Bram, Fane Lozman.
Mary Bram, Riviera Beach. We did discuss about this last year when we knew that they were doing this up further on our northern, up on our northern end. So we did discuss about the mooring here. And Mr. Sprague did make mention about that those anchors will be environmental safe. And like I say, we must always look at our environment. At the bottom of that ocean out there, we still have to protect that. And he also made mention about the fishing. I'm gonna tell you right offhand, I don't want nothing to happen to the fish out there. So I need those fish that are in that ocean there, whatever, with those ankles and stuff that will go down and you do your beds or whatever. I need the habitats of that ocean there safe and sound and protected. Now, the grant funding monies, have you already received that? Have you already received the fundings?
Well, sir, she's only doing her comment. We'll talk afterwards. Thank you.
And then he can tell you how much he has received already in order to proceed. He told you what moorings is. Those are the cables. He showed you up on the screen there. It's the cables for the ships and stuff, so that we can protect the wasteland as well, and the ropes and all of that, that would impact the ocean out there. So, and my next thing is that we as a city, we request that we have reports on the status of how we are doing with the mooring out there in the ocean. So I'm quite sure that should not be any problem, because when we do this in our waterways, any city always needs to be kept abreast. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thane Lozman.
Thane Lozman, I certainly support Mr. Sprague's work to have mooring fields in the city. I support the southern mooring field, and I support the one in front of the Riviera Beach Marina. I do not support a mooring field in front of Rybovich Shipyard, a Megiat shipyard. I do not support the mooring field in front of Oakport Cove, nor do a lot of other people that moor their boats there. Why? The ideal place to have a mooring field is directly north of Phil Foster. Those boats anchored there now, they could have mooring balls there. They have docks and bathrooms right there at Phil Foster for them to deposit their dinghies and use the restroom. But Botel, and I know this for a fact, she had one of her little things at the Ambassador Center, and they don't want to have a mooring field in front of whatever that apartment house or condo is there. She said, no, we're sticking in front of Rybovich. Rybovich is worth hundreds of millions of dollars, Botel, not some crappy old apartment building. Okay? That's not a mooring field placement. You can put a no anchoring zone there so nobody can put their boats anchored there. In front of our own property, in front of the Riviera Beach Marina and Bicentennial Park, that's one thing. But don't put a mooring field with a bunch of crappy old boats in front of a defense contract, in front of the Premier Mega Yacht Repair Facility. You put a mooring field where boats are moored now, which is in a hurricane hole, protected from a hurricane, that has restrooms, that has docks for them to put their little boats on at Phil Foster. And who gives a damn what Botel wants? Okay, we have to do what's in the best interest of the residents and the boaters and businesses that pump hundreds of millions of dollars of revenue into this community. Rybovich is an amazing Mega Yacht Repair Facility. We have the Marine Industry School, whatever that school Carter was in charge of. We have a whole big thing. We're going to put a bunch of boats where they're going to have structural failures and come crashing in there? No. It should go back to Phil Foster. That should be where the mooring field is. And Botel, you can just rot in hell. I don't care about you anymore.
Thank you so much.
Is that the end of public comment?
Madam Chair, members of the board, that concludes public comments on this item.
All right. Do we have any comments or questions from the board?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
can we see exactly where the proposed mooring field is going to be in reference to this grant? If we could pull that back up on the screen.
Let's go the other way. All right, Councilman, if you look at the drawing, Peanut Island is there on the left-hand side, lower part. If you can, yeah, you see the yellow line coming down, that's the Atlantic Intercoastal Waterway. And then you'll see sections along where the deep lines are going left to right. Those are the entry channels into each one of the facilities. So the mooring fields will be out there next to the ICW. They're not way in where the docks are. And secondly is that they will be on either side so they don't block the channels. And they're not like an anchor and line that's got a long scope that when the boat swings, it swings in and blocks either the ICW or a channel. And the circles are all designed for certain size vessels where they're going to go and to make sure that they don't interfere. The moorings at a minimum will be for 60-foot boats. However, we can spec, and we're looking at some bigger ones during hurricane season or whatever for certain size vessels to make sure they don't. But there's also a great deal of failure with the lines that run from the mooring to the boat. And there's a new line that they've developed now, which is not like nylon that when it heats up, it fails. It's designed not to chafe, not to overheat, and it's so strong they're even doing silhouette racing rigging out of it. But it's flexible rope.
Okay, follow-up, Madam Chair.
Go ahead.
Also, from what I recall from the proposal that was given about the mooring fields before, we had about 106 that were proposed, and I think in this grant there's 156 now?
There's 156, 56 off the mainland of Riviera. And then the other 100 is in that long section of the yellow, in between the yellow. It's just south of the turning basin. Palm Beach on the right, and City of West Palm Beach on the left. The mooring field is located in between the ICW channel, which is the yellow line on the left. On the right-hand side is the Palm Beach channel. At the bottom is the crossover channel for Rybovich, which they put under lease. And it'll be inside of that, but with the normal setbacks that are set by the state of Florida, who owns the bottom land. And there will be 100 moorings in there. We could put more moorings, but if you apply for 100 boat or less, it's what's known as a general permit. As long as you meet the conditions of the permit, which are uniform throughout the state of Florida, it's almost an automatic application, requires a great deal less effort, money, and time in getting it permitted.
Okay. This is on the backup. Can you have this? Can this be emailed out to all of us, please?
Pardon?
Can this report be emailed out to us? This proposal? Because it's not in our backup.
No, it's not. I just.
Can you email this out to all of us, please?
Pardon?
Can you email Mr.
Yeah,
Evans?
it's been emailed. That's been emailed to the city.
So we have this in our email.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. And
We'll email it out.
go ahead, Mr. Evans. I'm sorry.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Go ahead.
We will certainly email this out to the board. Another thing that I think is important as a result of what is being discussed, I think it's important that we have some community charrettes discussions around what's being proposed, as well as, me to reach out to my counterparts in the other municipalities to ensure that they understand invariably what is being contemplated, and obviously bringing that back to the board. But I think it is valuable to get some community input and perspective, especially from those that are within that general vicinity, as well as some of the businesses that are in that area as well.
Thank you. And that was my follow-up, Madam Chair. With this grant that we've submitted, does this require that the mooring fields be placed in this location, or do we have the leverage to put it somewhere else?
There's very limited places that we can put them because of water depth, because of channels, because of setbacks. And what we're trying to accomplish, in other words, if we actually brought the lines in, then boats could anchor in between the mooring field and our marine facilities on the coast, along the water, and therefore they wouldn't be protected. So the ideal was to design a mooring field that serves a purpose for an alternative to a restricting area within our city, but at the same time to protect the city and all the waterfront homeowners, business owners that these boats have it drifting into when they're not taken care of.
So I guess understanding that aspect, we still need to do some community charrettes, get some feedback from our residents, and let them know and give some insight as to why these are the optimal locations. But I guess to answer my question, does this require with this grant that we put these mooring fields in this location, or do we have leverage to put them somewhere else if we obtain and receive this grant?
Yeah, the grant is open for probably pretty much anywhere.
Okay.
They're all competitive grants, so when you write the grant and you look at it, you want to try and give them the most buck that you're doing for the actual application.
Right.
And also because they're staffing, you got a pump out boat and other things that require steady salary, so to speak, to take care of that. You also need sufficient moorings to cover all of those costs and to make a profit for the city as well.
Final question, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Does this have any impact to the ports, traffic, boats, ships? None, sir?
No, sir. This is south of that turning basin. If you look at the very top, you can see where it deepens out.
Yep.
It comes up to like a wall. It's vertical, about 35 feet tall.
Okay.
So the boat would hit the end of that. So no, it's nowhere near where the moorings are.
Perfect. Thank you so much for everything that you've done for this and getting this grant out for us. And Mr. Evans, if we could just try to get those community shreds done and kind of get the residents updated on what we're doing with these mooring fields so that they can be prepared and advised the same way that our consultant has. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Sprague.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Presentation. Mr. Sprague, before you leave, thank you. A question about the original plans for the mooring fields. As I recall, it was Sugar Sands, not some, quote, crappy old building that didn't want to have the mooring fields in front of their lovely homes. And was it I who made that decision unilaterally, or was it a conversation we had amongst administration? And because of the charrette we had?
It was looking at the various meetings that we had at the town hall on Blue Heron, where we invited Singer Island residents for input on the mooring field there.
Yes.
It was discussions of how many boats we could probably put in there and to make sure we didn't interfere with the traffic with the county boat ramp and the coming and going and the sheriff's department boats that are on moorings there. And so when you start looking at all that, it's how many boats can you actually put in there, and is it sufficient to run a mooring field with the expenses of running it and whatever. So that kind of led us into these other two areas. And then during the studies of where they could go and whatever, that's where we're at the present time.
Thank you. And I'm guessing that the reason we've increased the number in the southern section is because we don't any longer have the northern section by Sugar Sands to utilize for the mooring fields. It
That's
looks like it
correct.
was increased. Okay. And the number is not fixed in stone, am I right?
No,
It's
and
flexible.
the actual number over there, if you look at the south one, when we did the inventory, there was 104 boats in that same area that were proposing a 100-boat mooring field. And I've seen that area with 150 boats in it anchored in there. So we're not exceeding anything that's currently there on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm. I think that was it. And so we will have other meetings similar to the ones we had.
These
on
will
the
be
island.
continuing as we move along, and the agencies' input and whatever. And of course, they look at public comment as well.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
All right, any other questions or comments from the board? Madam Clerk?
Councilperson Lawson.
Yes.
Councilperson Botel.
Yes.
Pro Tem Lanier.
Yes.
Chair Miller Anderson.
Yes.
Motion approved.
All right, it's 7:20, we're at the end of our agenda. We'll go ahead and get started with our public comments. Please be reminded, the City Council has adopted rules of decorum, public conduct during official meetings, which has been posted at the front desk. In an effort to preserve order, if any of the rules are not adhered to, the council chair may have any disruptive speaker or attendee removed from the podium, from the meeting, and/or the building if necessary. Please govern yourselves accordingly. Madam Clerk?
Rita Smith.
We'll leave public comment cards, the acceptance open until 7:30, and then we'll close it then.
Rita Smith. Rochelle Hughes. Lori Morgan.
And as you all come up, please be sure to pay attention to the clock so that you are wrapping up your comments by the end of the 30 minutes.
Good evening.
Good
My
evening.
name is Riette Shaw Smith. Tonight I was the caterer that performed food for you all tonight. Once you finish, you'll be able to go and enjoy the food that I prepared for tonight. I'm local in Riviera Beach. I have a business office down the street. I'm in the BB&T Center on the second floor, and I do my commercial aspect out of Boynton Beach. Anytime that you need any type of food or anything in that nature, you can call On Demand Cater, and I have my cards. I have my cards in the back, and I have some in the front as well. So anytime that you need a caterer, you can always look at On Demand Caterer.
All right, thank you.
Madam Chair, could I just say something to her?
Really quick while we're going to the next person. Who's the next person? Go ahead, Dr. Botel.
Rochelle Hughes, Lori Morgan, Randy Edward.
Okay.
Hello. I am Lori Morgan from Lone Pine Estates.
Good evening.
And I am here to make a public comment for a developer that's looking to develop the golf course that neighbors our community. And we're upset about it. First, we're upset about the fact of traffic. And about 6 years ago, we had the Florida Department of Transportation do a traffic study on Lone Pine and the military trail that runs right by Lone Pine to determine whether or not we needed lights. And the first reaction was that we really can't put up street lights because we don't know if you have enough traffic or accidents. So come to find out, there were enough accidents and enough traffic on that street that sits between 45th and Dyer that enabled them to justify putting up lights. Now there's a developer that wants to come and stuff in 300 more homes in a community where there's already an abundance of traffic, and we're looking at more crime because come people, comes a crime. So there's no plan. We haven't seen any plans to increase the police department, to increase the number of firemen, increase the number of emergency that's in our neighborhood. So we're really, really concerned about it. And we don't want to have it rezoned, which I think this builder is moving towards. I see he's got his representative here. As far as what we see is that it's just lining people's pockets because there's an excess of $6 million going into the builder's pocket. Don't know who other pockets he's lining in order to get this to go through, but there's a lot of money floating around, and we're unhappy about it. Lone Pine, stand up. So there are only a few of us here today, but we promise you on that zoning meeting, we will fill the room. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rochelle Hughes, Randy Edwards, Hunter Santana.
Hello, I'm Rochelle Hughes. I'm also a Lone Pine Estates resident. I have lived there. It'll be 20 years this November. I also live right on the golf course. I get to enjoy nature. I get to enjoy the Egyptian geese that we have. I get to enjoy all the birds, everything. I get to enjoy peace in my backyard. So we, as the residents, submitted our petitions, and some of those things on that petition are, we're going to lose greenery. Now, my understanding is this entire country wants to go green. We want to save green space. You want to take an entire golf course, or not you, D.R. Horton wants to take an entire golf course and make it cement and put houses and townhomes and bring in just under 300. We already have traffic issues as it is. I have to leave my house by 6:45 a.m. if I want to get out onto Military Trail so I can make it to work. If I'm there at 7, I'm waiting 5-10 minutes because there's a lot of traffic on Military Trail. I also want to mention, if you take Military Trail from where Riviera Beach begins to where Riviera Beach ends, the only green space there is that golf course. Now, the city just held a 100th celebration on that golf course this past Saturday. That was awesome. Those kids got to go out there and play golf. I saw the pictures. That was excellent. You guys, the D.R. Horton wants to take the only golf course in Riviera Beach and turn it into cement and housing. Also, we have a major water issue in our development. Major. So adding 300 more homes is only going to deplete us in Lone Pine of our water pressure and our storm drainage. The noise from the building, I'd like to know who's going to clean my pool on a daily basis, because you know it's going to come into my pool. And that's all I have, and I just want you to know we are no to the rezone. So we're hoping you, as our elected officials, will stand behind us, your constituents, and support us in fighting the rezoning of our golf course. Thank you.
Thank you.
Randy Edwards, Hunter Santana, Doretta Polk.
Good afternoon, Council. 201 Canterbury Drive, Riviera Beach, Florida. I'm a former employee of this city, and I've seen a lot go on in this city. I can remember Sing Island, when they wanted to build a mass development on Sing Island. The residents said no, and the city council supported the residents. I worked over there, over 20 years in this city. Whoever Sing Island wanted, they got it. We Lone Pine are asking for the same thing. We're taxpayers too. We voted y'all in office. Support us. Don't let an outsider come in here and take our quality of life from us. Because when he go home, he's going to his quality of life. Outsiders come in here and just rob us in this city. We got to stop. Batting their pockets on us. That's not right. It is not right. And also, Lone Pine have been neglected. Our streets, we have sinkholes out there. Roads need to be repaved. They haven't been repaved, restriped. But see, I don't got concrete streets. Why can't we just get repavement? Street sweeper. I've been asking for a street sweeper for I don't know how many years now. I spoke to Randy Sherman. We pay for street sweeping, but everybody else gets street sweeping but us. We get nails in our tires, all the construction on the roof and out there, all in the roadway. Why don't we get it? Why can't we get the service we pay for? We pay for this. And I'm going on this mooring field. I know it's already been said. But everywhere I go in Palm Beach County, I have to pay to park. Sing Island is free. Everybody from everywhere enjoy our tax dollars, what we pay taxes on, enjoy what we have here. But we go to their city, we have to pay. Go downtown, you're going to have to pay. Go to a movie, you have to pay. Now you put mooring fields in, who's going to pay for that? Taxpayer? Why do we get robbed all the time? Why do they take from us in this city? They just rob us blind, and we just sit here and let them do this here. I mean, enough is enough. I mean, we got to stand up. And I'm asking the citizens of Riviera Beach to join forces because D.R. Horton don't mean us any good. I'm telling you now, the traffic, when an accident occurs on 95, you cannot come down Military Trail corridor. If the law enforcement, they can tell you how long it takes to respond to a call now, and when the traffic's on Military Trail, they can't get to us, our fire department. So do something about that, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hunter Santana, Doretta Polk, Fane Lowe.
Ms. Anthony, the 7:30.
Madam Chair, members of the board, the acceptance of public comment cards at this time is now closed.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Hunter Santana, and I'm here representing residents on East 25th, 26th, East 24th, basically people who are proximal to Broadway and Blue Heron. My understanding is that the city issued permits to the Inlet Harbor Bar and Lounge to have a couple car shows, and that's fine, but for the past 2 months, it's been Friday, Saturday, and Sunday till 2 a.m. people having basically sound battles is what it sounds like. I mean, I'm here really representing my grandfather who's 88. I live with him, and to watch him pace around at 2 in the morning, continuing to take medication because he can't sleep and I can't sleep. I get up at 4:30 in the morning to go to work, and I just I think people need that space to go to a bar and drink and have fun. That's fine, but there has to be some sort of line drawn because they've been in violation of Riviera Beach sound decibel levels, the code enforcement levels that have been set basically every night every weekend for the past 2 months. And I just like to see my grandpa get some sleep as well as me. Other residents have complained, and it's basically come down to the point where if we have to call to get it to stop, I've been told, well, they have a permit. And yeah, that's true. The bar might have a permit to sell liquor or have people there, but I don't think everyone around there has the right to basically keep playing sound in a residential area till 2 in the morning every weekend for the past 2 months. Even, so one of my questions is, what is the permit being issued for to the Inlet Bar and Lounge? My understanding was it was a car show, but it seems like the car show has been every weekend for the past, I just think there needs to be some kind of understanding between the community and respecting the sound laws in the area because, we just like to sleep and, I think people have to obey the code that the city set in place. And, I park on the wrong side of my street. I have somebody knock on my door and tell me to move my car. So I don't think it should be a double standard because one's a business that gets a permit and, I've said my piece. Thank you.
Thank you.
Doretta Polk, Thane Lozman, Quentin Jacobs.
Good evening. My
Good
name is
evening.
Doretta Falk. I'm a resident of Riviera Beach, and I just want to.
Can you pull the mic down?
Last week, and also part of this week, we're celebrating Nurses Week. Nursing is a very challenging and very rewarding occupation to be in, and I just wanted. I'm retired now, but I just want to say kudos to all the nurses. Palm Beach County and around the world, and also our CNAs. And another thing I want to talk about is concerning security. Do we have that in place where everybody's going through the metal detectors? And if you can answer that later on, Mr. Evans. Everyone needs to go through the metal detectors. We all need to be safe. And with the climate that we have today, you just never know what people have thoughts in their minds and what they can do to all of us. And I'm glad to see and hope we continue to see every officer from each corner of this division in here, because we need to be safe. And another thing concerning about the raises, for Mr. Blankenship, Mr. Nehemiah Spence, and all the ambassadors, the police officers, the firefighters, everybody should be able to get a raise. Everyone. This weekend, I was outside of my home, and there were several cops just going around. So I kind of flagged this officer down. Her name is Officer Wright. She was very, very polite. And I asked her, do you think I need to go in my home? Is everything safe around here? And she said, yes, absolutely. And it is good to see the officers out, which I do see them out often anyway before, But it is good to see these officers out. They're very patient and also kind when talking to you. And I just wanted to just let the citizens know that we do have very good officers here, and I do hope that Mr. Josh Lewis get the job from interim to chief police, and I think he'll be doing a very good job. And I just want to thank you all, the entire city employees, because you're doing a marvelous job. And we just have to come together, and we can make this a great city, because it is a great city. We just have to be kind and courteous and compassionate to one another. And I thank you very much, and have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thane Lozman, Quentin Jacobs, Cindy Mark.
Thane Lozman, I provided the city attorney and the city manager. If you want a copy, you can have it. It's called Florida Statute 70.002, the Property Owner Bill of Rights. And the Property Owner Bill of Rights, number 1, it gives you the right to acquire, possess, and protect your property. But more specifically, number 3 gives you the right to exclude others from your property. We own a property on Pine Point Road. That property was given a fence by Lady March Goldwire. She was fired from the city for giving us a fence permit because Botel didn't want the fence to be there. We have an email from Botel sent to the city where she wanted that fence declared illegal and removed. Lady March Goldwire lost her job over the fence, and for the last 3 years I spent close to $100,000 in legal fees over that fence. I just became aware of the Property Owners' Bill of Rights, that we have the right to exclude people from our property. I've talked to the largest fence contractor in Palm Beach County. He has never had one time where cities denied a fence permit. What he has had, they said you can't put a 6-foot fence, you can put a 4-foot fence, or you can put a wooden fence, or you can put an electrical fence if it has cattle running around places, but no one has ever been denied a fence because it's in Florida statute. You have a right to exclude people from your property. We have people going on our property, young children who can drown. We have people littering, throwing beer bottles. We have dogs running rampant. We have a right to secure our property. And it doesn't matter what's on the inside. You can have 1 million mangrove trees. We're allowed to control our property. Now, the city council never voted to say it's okay for these city employees to violate Florida statute. They never had a secret meeting to say that. So the city is not liable because the 5 policymakers did not vote as a collective group to violate it. What's happened is that Evans and the city attorney and Sermons and his staff, they are individually violating this because Botel has them scared to death that they'll be fired like Lady March was. I sent Mr. Evans and the city attorney an email this afternoon. But if you do not give me a permit by noon tomorrow, Mr. Evans, to repair my fence that the Pine Point residents have torn down, I have my attorney, we talked today, we are going to file a legal action against you individually, Evans, you, Miss Wynn, Botel will be in there too, the development director, then the assistant development director will be sued individually in federal court for taking away our rights to exclude the public who want to trespass and vandalize our property. So selective enforcement. Everybody in the state of Florida can have a fence, but not Thane Lozman. You're going to lose that case, Evans. You're going to have to pay my legal fees, and you're going to have to reimburse the city for their legal fees. And in a position of authority, you should look and say, hey,
Mr.
give
Lozman.
me my fence. You got till noon
Thank you,
tomorrow.
Mr. Lozman.
Quentin Jacobs, Cindy March, Lisa Johnson.
How's everybody?
Good evening.
Madam Chair, City Council, public officials. I'm here in behalf of On Pine Estates. I also live inside of a resident. Been there approximately 12 years now. When I bought my resident, I didn't foresee. I don't think my neighbors. I don't think they're foreseeing anyway as far as someone coming in and developing it on the golf course. The problem is we had meetings over at Palm Beach Lakes a couple of years ago. The problem is, like they were saying with the traffic, it is a major problem out there. Usually when I get off from work and everything, been here approximately 20 years myself. When we come in, you can't even get home. It takes almost 25 to 30 minutes just to get from Blue Heron Boulevard just to South Canterbury just to get home, which is the major problem. We end up having someone build in behind our residence. What's going to end up happening, developers, they come in, they build, they have They have the investors, they come in, and everybody get paid and everybody go home. They don't have these issues. What's going to end up happening crime-wise, it's going to put more work on the police department. It's going to put more work on the residents and everything. As far as trying to come in, we have enough going on out there already. We also have, on that golf course, we had tainted water, which I'm quite sure had come up and everything one time before out there on the golf course. That has to be addressed as well. And like they were speaking in terms as far as the water pressure is bad. We have been called in numerous times and everything. We were under my understanding that the water pump right there on Avenue U is filtering our areas, trying to push all those areas, including ours. A long time ago, I guess out there on Halver Hill Road, we used to have a little pump station out there, which ended up being removed. And from my understanding, I guess they're supposed to be looking into it for putting another one out there. But if those 300 homes or whatever is going to come out there, we're going to have a problem. But like I say, crime-wise, we need to start looking at it because, like I say, it's going to put a lot of pressure on the police department as well as the city in our area out there. And I'm not looking forward to that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cindy March, Lisa Johnson, Ernestine Gordon.
Good evening, Council.
Good evening.
I hope y'all know what integrity is, transparency, because evidently you don't. Whoever working at the city, I have the letter in my car, Mr. Evans, you welcome to get the original letter. When you all mail out letter, make sure you all mail it to the right address, especially when it's concerning somebody sit on this board. I was told to return the letter. I didn't return it. I will return it with no problem, but I will get a copy. And you can have the original copy. But see, this is what I'm saying. Sometimes you got to be still and let God, because God will work it out. And it's concerning Julia Botel. I mean, she needs to be excused. She should have been excused. Because must I say, she have her hands into everything. What happened to her legislation aide, Sammy Brown? You was a failure to this young man. I mean, I'm not going to sit up here and elaborate on him losing his job or resigning or whatever he did, because I lost my job on the 25th of August. But one thing about me, I treat people the way I want to be treated. You sit here with this smirk on your face, you're an embarrassment to the city. You really are. And Lanier, you want to elaborate on lawsuits? See, this y'all problem. Y'all got these personal vendettas. You all not dealing with the issues of the city of Revere Beach and the citizens of Revere Beach. See, I get into good trouble. I've been getting into good trouble for over 30 years. When I go knocking on these people's doors, asking for a vote for who I think right to run the city, and I don't always get it right because I'm human. But when I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But when I'm right, I'm going to stand up for right. You was the reason why Lady March is not here right now today. And it was personal vendettas. Even the emails were sent to the wrong person. 102 emails. And it's attacked with Julia Botel. All the emails, how she was orchestrating this city of Revere Beach, how she wanted Sammy Brown to be her legislation aide. He had a high school diploma. Come to find out, you all, he didn't even have a high school diploma and was making $66,000 a year. More money than the first responders who come and see about us when we call 911. Overtime payment over $17,000 a year. So if you want to do an internal investigation, let's start with Botel and Sammy Brown. Then we're going to come to you with all the drug failures that you failed upon yourself, Mrs. Lanier. So I still want to know what's going on with this voting of the last election. Because, see, I'm not here to point fingers. A lot of times I have asked about the pavement from First Street all the way down. See, y'all got worrying about the wetland, but we the dry land. We the one put you in office. And then you get your head so high where you forgot where you come from. But like I said, y'all keep them smirks on your face, but I'm going to be still and watch how God work it out. See, I didn't ask for that mail. That mail came to my house with my name on it. So I could open that mail. But when I open the mail, it takes years to Julie.
Thank you, Ms. March.
Lisa Johnson, Ernestine Gordon, J.B. Dixon.
Please keep the voices down in the audience, please. Can we please have her go out if she's going to continue to talk? Go ahead, Ms. Johnson.
Good evening,
Good evening.
persons. Thank you so much for allowing for public comments. I do not live in the city of Riviera Beach. However, I was born and raised in Riviera Beach, so I'm a product of Riviera Beach. I am here on behalf of Oasis Community Development Center, where I am the mental health coordinator, and NAMI of Palm Beach County. That's the National Alliance on Mental Illness, where I am the vice president of the board of directors. I wanted to come this evening to bring awareness on a workshop that we will be having in the city of Riviera Beach, my hometown, my black community, for mental awareness. It is time that the city of Riviera Beach bring awareness to the mental health conditions that are running rampant in our city, in our county, in our states, and in our country. This event will be on May 28th at Suncoast Community High School, my high school, Miss Miller High School, Suncoast Community High School, from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. It is for youth ages 13 to 18 years old, as well as parents. Parents of the Riviera Beach, please, please, please support your children. I am a product of mental illness, so I have firsthand experience. It runs in my family as well, and we have dynamic speakers on that day. It is time to take off the mask, deal with our issues, deal with our traumas. What stays in the house, what goes on in the house stays in the house. It's time out for that now. So we need to deal with the issues, and we will see less teenage pregnancy. We will see less suicides. We will see less drug and alcohol addictions. We will also see less murders and inmates in jail. So it is time. So I welcome everyone in the city of Riviera Beach to come out on May 28th at Suncoast Community High School from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. We have dynamic speakers. One young lady from the state of Michigan is coming for free to talk to our young people and parents about nutrition and mental health. We also have licensed clinical social workers. We will be serving lunch. So we love to eat, so come out and enjoy. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ernestine Gordon, J.B. Dixon, Mary Brown.
And she did graduate in the best class from Suncoast, class of 91. Just want to say that.
Hello, everyone. I'm here tonight. I want to talk about what the community was talking to me about, reference to the old information when y'all improved the Stony Brooks over there. What I'm trying to say is that we got information about that I think the lady was telling me about it was something was going on over there for it was a building. A man wants to build a building over there and over there behind us, Old Stony Brooks. And they are kind of upset about that. And they want me to talk to Shirley. Shirley, please, they don't want you to do that. I think it was McCoy and Shirley, the information that we got. And they kind of upset about that. And I rolled it down 8th Street. It's a beautiful street. Y'all, be honest with Shirley, Botel, and Ms. Brown, y'all did a beautiful job. That place looks gorgeous. And you ride down that street, it looks so good. And we don't want anything to happen there. And the people, they want to keep it the way it is. It's like a show place, really. It looked better than Blue Heron, come to think of it. But that's what I want to talk to Shirley about. We don't want no one to go in there with those chemicals and things. The kids be out there playing, and they probably, we want to save our kids. And also, right down the street from there is a school. And we have to look out for the young people. We want to keep them healthy. So we don't want, since we got the street is so beautiful and Stony Brooks is really beautiful, we just want to keep it good. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
J.B. Dixon, Mary Bram, Janet Jackson.
J.B. Dixon, Singer Island in Riviera Beach. I seldom ever get up here to talk about what I want to talk about because I have to first address all of the misinformation and outright lies in the speakers who have come before me. So I will try to make this very brief, but I hope I can get it all in the 3 minutes that I'm allowed. First of all, Mr. Lozman, as usual, does not tell you the whole story. He waves around a Bill of Rights of property owners without mentioning that the rules are very different for a special preservation district, which his property is in, and that does not allow for fences and a whole lot of other things. Also, no one that I know has ever seen any children being on his property. He, in fact, goes on other people's property and parks his car. So, the other thing is that on behalf of the people who live in Sugar Sands, which he says are dumpy old apartment buildings, he should talk. He's the one who has a floating shack on our lagoon. So, you know, people who live in glass shacks should not throw stones. Also, before Julie Botel rots in hell, I can guarantee you that Mr. Lozman will.
Thank you.
Mary Bram, Janet Jackson, Joseph Sanchez.
Mary Bram, Riviera Beach. I was at the Planning and Zoning Board on May the 12th. And I'm like this. A spade is a spade. I am Miss Bram. And if you cannot say Miss Bram, you can say Miss Mary, or either you can say the hat lady because you all gave me that. But you don't call me a young girl, young lady, Miss Shepherd. I'm older than you, Miss Shepherd. I may not look like it, and thank goodness that I do not. I do not pacify grown women and grown men. I do not have time for that. I never did, and I never will. I will respect each and every one in their rightfully places. We was dialoguing about the warehouse. We build up that place over there, and we intend to keep it built up. This is who we are. Randy made some comments about how you give out our stuff, and they goes away. And I'm going to tell you what I said in the Planning and Zoning Board. You come in here and dump all your stuff here, and then you go on your boats, and you drink your expensive champagne and eat your caviar. Don't get me wrong, Miss Bram done had it too. But I know who I am. And I know what is here. And I love this city. I love my children. And I love this city. Rise to the occasion and do the things to make us all great. I do not discriminate. I have them all. The Jews, the Italians, the Indians, the Hispanics. That's who I am. That's my family. I am that roundabout person. So my personality will always be dealing and dialoguing. Do not forget tomorrow on the 19th over at the library, Fun Day. Come over there and enjoy Washington Elementary and the cafe as well. Officers, thank you. Thank you for your service, and also thank the ones that are out that is sick. Some of the officers had some surgery done. So kudos goes to you. Hope that you get better. The luncheon was just great today. Thank you, Audit Wilson, that provided that lunch for us. And residents, I saw Miss Cunningham today too, so she is alive. So I wanted to share that with you. And just a quick reminder here. We had to do this to clear some innocent people. that was involved in this incident. See, it was too many hands that was being changed. If it had to proceed the way that it should have had, we would not have done this here.
Thank you, Ms.
But
Bram.
to clear those that was innocent,
Thank you, Ms. Bram.
was necessary. Thank you.
Who's next?
Janet Jackson, Joseph Sanchez, Dale Holness.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Council. I'm Janet Flint Jackson. I've been a resident of the city all my life, my family as well.
Pull your mic up a little bit. Just pull the mic.
Certainly. Is that better? Okay. It's interesting that you all will spend $80,000 on an investigation. And I gave information about Jackie Robinson memorabilia that was stolen from the CRA. Nobody said nothing. I had a meeting with Mr. Evans. So spend a little bit of money to investigate that. You know? So simple. And also, I am a member of Lone Pine Estates. I live there. And we don't need all the housing and problems that come with it, particularly on Military Trail. And putting apartments there, it's going to be a problem. Okay? So maybe you all will do an investigation on my Jackie Robinson memorabilia. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Joseph Sanchez, Dale Holness.
Good evening, members of the council.
Good evening.
Mr. Evans and the rest of the staff. My name is Joseph Sanchez. Like many of you, I wear many hats. Today I'm here as the vice chair of the Black Chamber of Commerce of Palm Beach County. And I want to actually here to thank you for your partnership with our first MLK 5K, which we had on May the 7th here in your lovely city, honoring the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King, which was also combined with the Divine 9 K5 Challenge, which we got a lot of fraternities and sororities involved in. The event was rescheduled from MLK weekend due to COVID, like so many other different events. Was focused on bringing awareness to the health and wellness of people in our community. And we also were looking to raise, and we did raise money to help provide training and other resources for small and minority businesses. I want to thank Mr. Evans and his staff, especially Mr. Richard Blankenship, the Parks and Recreation. They were outstanding in providing support to us. Sergeant Fishaw and the police department, they were also outstanding. We couldn't ask for more help. You guys were tremendous. I want to thank Councilpersons Lawson and Botel for showing up. You guys came out there. I didn't get you to run this time, but I'll get you to run next time. We had nearly 300 people there, and the diversity there was very impressive. I mean, something I love seeing, black and white, Hispanic, all mixed together, working together. We had people from ages 6 to 74 years old participate in that event, and people as far south as South Broward County who were participating. So we had our wrap-up meeting just this past Monday with my committee, and overwhelmingly the committee supported coming back to River Beach. We want to come back here and continue to bring people into your city and to participate in this kind of events and help improve the health and wellness of our community. So I just want to leave you with a couple of things. I guess I'll leave it with the clerk. But we have a certificate of appreciation for the city's partnership, as well as one of our T-shirts and medals from the event with our swag bag. So again, just want to thank you very much for your participation. I look forward to working with the city in the future. Thanks.
Thank you.
Chairperson.
Hold on one second. The clock? All right. Go ahead.
Chairperson Miller Anderson, Chair Pro Tem Lanier, Councilperson Botel, Councilperson Lawson, City Manager, City Clerk, City Attorney, residents. Good evening. My name is Dale Holness, former Mayor of Broward County.
Good evening.
Former City Commissioner, now candidate for the United States Congress. I attend this meeting, as I did previously, to learn, to listen, to get a full understanding as to the needs and the concerns of this community. Because I believe if someone is to serve, they have to be engaged. So I'm here for that. And certainly, I've heard the concerns, the compliments. At least there was a good one just now. And the folks are speaking their mind. And this is the strength of our democratic system of government. There are not too many places in the world where you can sit there and get the kind of input. Not always what you want to hear, but nonetheless, you're there and you're listening. That's what makes America great. And I say this, that local government is probably the most important arm of government because you're directly impacting people's lives through your infrastructure programs for your roads, your fire, your police, schools. Everything happens at the local level. Certainly the federal government must be a good partner and must be engaged enough to understand the needs that communities have and how to partner and work with them. And that's why I'm here. Because serving as a city commissioner in Lord Hill for 6.5 years and for 11 plus years at the county level taught me that it is important to hear from the people. And sometimes what they say may not make you happy, but if you can find something in what they say to figure out how to make it better for them, I think that's how governments work best for the people. We celebrated this past week, Police Week. Congratulations to the interim chief, and I wish him good luck. We celebrate also Nurses Week. Both my mother and my father were nurses. My mother, a nurse's assistant, my father, a registered nurse working in the psychiatric field. So thank you, Nurse Park, for sharing with me. That's what nurses do, they care. And our police protects us, and mental health is critical. Thank you very much, Ms. Lisa Johnson, for the effort, because we often overlook the need for mental health in our communities. Thank you so much for having me here with you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the board, that concludes public comment.
All right. Mr. Evans, do you have any responses to any of the questions or comments?
Yes, Madam Chair. With respect to the Lone Pine concerns that residents...
Can't really hear you.
With respect to some of the concerns that the residents expressed concerning the rezoning that is contemplated in the Lone Pine community, please note that that is a quasi-judicial proceeding, and so what that means for members of the public, the board has to operate as judges, so they have to hear facts and they have to make their determination, their decisions predicated on facts. And so you may, in some cases, be reaching out to them and they cannot provide some information or address some of your questions and your concerns because they have to be impartial and review the information as to when it is presented to them. So if you do have specific concerns or items that are related to what is being proposed, we would encourage you to speak with staff, and staff can help facilitate providing additional clarity, information, what's the next steps in the process. But I did want the community to know that if you are reaching out to members of the board and they're not providing you some of the information that you're looking to get as it relates to this particular item, it is because they are bound to follow what state statutes and what the code calls for with regards to this particular item. So I did want to provide some clarity with respect to that. On the Inlet Harbor item, I will get with the Assistant City Manager and Code Compliance to find out what the issues are with regards to that. There may be a case that's already been filed with respect to that, but we can definitely take a look at that issue. The security plan that was referenced, the security plan is in place, and all persons that enter the particular area where there's a meeting of the governing body have to participate in the security screening. So that has been adopted. We will also look to get staff to assess some of the roadway conditions in the Lone Pine community and see if there's anything that we can do to resolve those particular issues. And I will follow up with Ms. Jackson concerning the Jackie Robinson item. She did speak to me some time ago, and I just have to refresh my memory as to what the status on that was. And that concludes my comments, Madam Chair.
Okay. So we're at the end of our agenda. I think I can't recall it. Did we go to city manager yet?
No, Madam Chair.
All right. You have any comments?
Yes, Madam Chair. I would like to just extend my deepest sympathies and condolences for the families and those persons that were impacted and those that lost their life as a result of the horrific incident that occurred in the Buffalo community. And so thoughts and prayers for that community, and thoughts and prayers for the community in California that also experienced a tragedy as it relates to gun violence. And certainly I know that it's something that is concerning to all communities. And so hopefully we can really find some long-term resolutions to address some of the challenges that we see with respect to some of these acts of violence that have no rationale, no reason, and terrorize our communities and tear our communities apart. And so I do want to share my deepest sympathies for those communities. And that concludes my comments, Madam Chair.
All right. City Attorney?
No comments, Madam Chair.
City Council Committee reports.
Madam Chair.
Go ahead.
I attended the May 13th Government Affairs Committee meeting of the Palm Beach North Chamber, and this morning I attended the Palm Beach North Chamber Business Before Hours breakfast, where we honored teachers and distributed $26,000 in scholarships to graduating high school seniors. I continue to meet weekly with our internal tourism committee.
All right. Statements. Any other committee reports? Statements by the mayor and city council. We'll start. Dr. Botello, you want to go ahead if you have any?
Yes, thank you. I was pleased to attend the homecoming banquet at the Dan Calloway Complex for the Youth Recreation Association, where they presented awards to people who serve our community. These included Gerald Hearns, Mary DeGraffenwright, Dot Lewis, Henry Taylor, Derek McRae, and Anna McNeil. Artie Williams and Shaq Leonard were the hosts, and Deputy City Manager Liz McBride and I brought greetings from the Riviera Beach City Administration and Council. I'm continuing to plan for our World Oceans Day celebration, as I mentioned earlier, that will take place on June 7th with the opening of the art exhibit in the hallway here, and then the June 17th Oceans of Notes concert here in the main ballroom. I'll be installed as the first vice president of the Palm Beach County League of Cities on May 25th at the Kravitz Center. I do hope some of you can attend that celebration. And I was a little late to the 5K, as he mentioned, but maybe I hope to race it again sometime in the future when I'm in better shape and not so late. I also want to extend my condolences to the people of Buffalo, as well as to the family of Willis Williams. Thank you.
All right. Chair Pro Tem?
This week I met with Ali Soley of Brightline. We had conversations in regards to the safety of Riviera Beach and its residents. As the Brightline train is about to gear up, they're supposed to finish their station in Orlando in January of next year, 2023, but they're making runs through the city of Riviera Beach as we speak in terms of safety. So having conversations about this train and about how it's going to affect the residents in this city is something I wanted to explore before the trains start making their trek regularly to the city of Riviera Beach. Yesterday, Faith Deliverance through the Feeding Hope Village initiative held a grand opening ceremony for their health and wellness program. Faith Deliverance will hold free health screenings and tobacco cessation education every third Sunday from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. at 3437 Avenue O in Riviera Beach. They are working diligently to serve the needs of our community. On June the 2nd, the Palm Beach County Board of Commissioners will host an economic summit focused on housing and transportation. That is June the 2nd. Also, the Palm Beach County is currently accepting non-COVID related rental assistance applications for clients experiencing crisis and as a result are at risk of being homeless. That website address is www.rentalassistancepbc.org, and they are currently accepting applications for rental assistance.
That concludes your comment.
And also the city's centennial, please make sure you get a calendar. There are going to be activities up until September 25th, which is our 100th birthday. That's it.
All right. Councilman Lawson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Residents, tomorrow we will be supporting and hosting Harvest Day over at Mary McLeod Bethune. My office, along with Trinette Morris, Katrina Long Robinson, and the school, partner with the City of Riviera Beach to actually open up the organic gardening program and green market at the school with our scholars there. So we'll be doing a harvest at the school at 11 a.m. tomorrow and presenting the school with an actual check on behalf of the city as well to support the students at our school in the harvesting. Please make sure that you support the event on May 28th at 10 a.m. at Suncoast, partnering with NAMI. Parents, students, make sure you are there because mental health in our community is vital. The discussion, the conversation in regards to mental health. Finally, Mr. Evans, I have a question. Do we currently have a drug testing policy for employees?
Madam Chair, if I may.
Go ahead.
We have a drug-free workplace policy. So we do have situations whereby when employees start with the agency, they are administered drug tests if they are public safety sensitive positions. And then we do random drug testing as well.
Follow up, Madam Chair.
Go ahead.
If we can, Mr. Evans, I'd like to make a motion that we bring a policy back before the board to address drug testing for the elected officials. If we're going to hold our residents, our employees to a certain standard, I think we need to hold the elected officials to the same standard. So that's the motion I'd like to put on the floor, Madam Chair.
All right. Have a second? I'll second it. I do have a question, though. So for this item, I guess for when you all do take a look at this, is this standard for, does elected officials fall in the same category as employees? Because I can't recall if we did that when we first came in or not. And if you could just do some research on it, is it done in other places? Is it based on the city and how they operate? How is it for elected officials?
Yes, Madam Chair. I will have to do some research on that. I'm not familiar of any policy per se for elected officials associated with that, but I can query other municipalities and see if they have a program or a policy in place that speaks to that.
All right. So he has a motion on the floor to vote for, you want them to just get the information?
Bring a policy back before the board.
So we don't have to have a vote on that, I mean, unless someone objects to it.
Well, I want to make sure that we have a vote so that there's a consensus, or at least a vote so that he understands that this is the direction that the city manager is given from the council.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Go ahead.
So twofold. If the board provides just consensus, then what we would do is we would just research if there's any policy. If the board votes on it, we would draft policy and bring policy back for you all to ultimately vote up or vote down. So I just wanted to provide some clarity. So the more specificity as it relates to the desires of the board, the better the end result will be from staff.
So typically when we want information to be brought back, we just usually have a consensus, and then when the item is brought back, we do the vote and take the vote on it?
Okay, well, we can actually vote on it when we bring it back or take a look at it, but do we have a consensus? I'm not sure.
I'm fine with it.
A consensus would be a third person, so I'm not sure what my colleagues are. I can't see them down there.
I am not in consensus of with elected officials. That is a whole different status than employees. There is no city in Palm Beach County that requires elected officials to to take a drug test. I'm sure there's policy in terms of having and following a drug-free environment. That is something that we all sign when we come to the city of Riviera Beach. But to have elected officials drug tested is a whole nother ball game. So no, I'm not in consensus with that.
All right, Dr. Botel.
You know, we were accused earlier of doing something for political purposes, and This smacks of the same. I don't want to question the motives of my colleague in asking for this, but I suppose I don't have an objection to Mr. Evans looking into what other cities do. But if there's any sense of, I don't have a problem with Mr. Evans looking into what other cities' policies are with regard to drug testing of elected officials. I'll just say that. If it comes to a vote, I may have a different opinion.
All right, so we're just talking about Mr. Evans going and getting the information, seeing what other cities are doing and how that impacts elected officials. And obviously, when he brings the information back, we could move forward or not with the additional information in terms of the policy.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
If I could just make one follow-up comment, I agree that we do not want this to be politically driven or motivated, but if there is a policy in place for our staff, I think we'd be held at the same standard. And I could care less if there's not another policy in Palm Beach County. We're trying to be a cut above. We're reimagining Riviera Beach. And at that discretion, I want to make sure that every one of my colleagues and staff are in a drug-free environment. So regardless of your agenda or thoughts or process, this is a standard practice that we require for our employees. They sign a notice and they are tested randomly. So that same expectation should be on the elected officials. And if there's anything that is to be hidden from the public, then we want to make sure we have full transparency across the board, not just on certain items or initiatives that they deem fit.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
there is a motion that's on the floor that has not been,
All right, so I will pull back my second.
you'll withdraw your second.
Mm-hmm. All right. Were you finished, Mr. Lawson?
That's it, Madam Chair.
Okay. So far as my comments, on tomorrow, I will be meeting with Ms. Nguyen regarding the city manager's contract. Also, I wanted to just say that May is Lupus Awareness Month. I know a little while back I did do a proclamation. I had the mayor do a proclamation identifying that as such and just bringing awareness to the debilitating disease that we have out there, which is lupus. Also, on last week, I think all of the council, as well as some staff, attended Margaritaville, the ship that went back out to sea last week. It was you could tell there were a lot of upgrades that were done, so they're looking forward to people participating and going and signing up. Also, Dr. Botel and I, as well as the mayor, did attend Faith Deliverance's Red Room dedication, which Councilwoman Lanier just spoke about. So that was a very nice event where they're there to make sure that the health and wellness of our community is being addressed. And the much-awaited scavenger hunt that has been put out there for many, many months and it seemed like a year that I am going to be doing for the city. I figured we have a centennial this year. So what would be really good to do during the summer months is to participate in getting to know your city. So you'll have more information coming out. We're looking to do that in the months of June and July. And it will involve doing a lot of searching around the city. So if you don't know Riviera Beach, hopefully by the time you finish with this scavenger hunt, you'll have a lot of knowledge about Riviera Beach, and it will be a great activity for the community to participate in while we celebrate our 100 years. With that, we have a motion to adjourn.
Second.